My name is Chase Penland, and the webinar presentation I participated in was Pursuing Mastery in Coaching. At the conclusion of this webinar, I was able to identify the key characteristics of master teacher and coaches. I was also able to identify teaching success and sport pyramid components and how each of them can be used in a professional development tool. And lastly, I learned the 15 different strategies and how they can apply them, how teachers can apply them / coaches can apply them to become a master teacher. In this presentation, I'm going to go over the foundation and the building blocks it takes to become a master teacher. As I stated, we're going to start with the foundation, which will be the bottom row of the building blocks. And as the presentation progresses, I will gradually climb up to the very top, the apex of the pyramid. In the next 15 slides, I'm going to be identifying the pyramid block and state the strategy for that individual block. As stated before, there's 15 different strategies for the 15 different pyramid blocks. This is strategy number one. This strategy is going to be going over pyramid block love. So this strategy consider a servant leadership mentality. So as a coach, are you acting in the best interest of the athlete? Do you think of others first? So are you doing whatever you got to do in order to make your athlete the best that he or she can be? And putting your wants or your needs aside and making your athletes a priority. Strategy number two. So this strategy is going to go over pyramid block balance. So the strategy for this pyramid block is clarify or prioritize your value. Do you know who you are as a teacher / coach, and do you know the things that you value as a coach? So what things got you to where you are as a coach? What are some things that you found as a coach that have made you successful in the years that you have been a coach? Strategy number three, this pyramid block is friendship. So the strategy for this block is develop interpersonal knowledge. Do you know how to develop positive relationships with student athletes and get to know your athletes on the field and off the field? So other than the sport that you coach, do you know anything about your athletes? Get to know them, their hobbies off the field, their family, what kind of family life they have, their interests. It really makes a really good connection with the athletes when a coach can develop that sort of relationship. Strategy number four, this pyramid block is loyalty. So the strategy for this block is strive to help others achieve success. So as a coach, do you have a vision for your student athletes? And do you know what it takes for athletes to be successful? So what is your overall goal for your athlete or your athletes? Do you have that vision? Do you have an idea of what it's going to take in order for your team or your individual or you as a coach to be successful in the end? Strategy number five, this block is cooperation. Strategy for this block is build a network of colleagues. So establish a communication system of coaches that can make you and your athletes better. Also find someone who is your master teacher. So no matter how many years you've been teaching or coaching, there's always someone out there who knows more than you. So find someone that you can look up to and continue to learn from, that you consider your master teacher. And also, find a communication system of coaches around you to where you can always learn how to better yourself as a coach and to give your athletes the best possibility to be successful as possible. Strategy six, this block is industriousness. So the strategy for this is to keep improving through deliberate practice. So do you have a plan to improve as a coach? Also, what are your professional practices to grow as a coach? So what do you intend to do in order to make yourself better during your season, during your off season? Always find a way to master your craft. So do you go to coaching clinics in the off season, or do you go and sit with other colleagues or coaches that you may know around the area and see what things that can make you better? Strategy 7, this pyramid block is curiosity. So strategy for this block is to develop a habit of asking questions for enhanced knowledge. Ask meaningful questions to student athletes and to people you're trying to learn from. So you ask questions to your athletes to see if you're getting that desired outcome that you want from your athletes. Are they learning the things that you intend for them to learn? Also, if you're trying to learn from other colleagues or other people, you're not going to learn anything unless you ask questions or unless you research. So it's always good to ask questions in order to enhance your knowledge. Strategy 8, this block is resourcefulness. For this strategy is to overcome learning obstacles through mentorship. So have you developed mentor/mentee relationships? Also connect with experienced coaches. As I've talked about earlier, there's always coaches around you that might know more than you. Maybe they've been coaching a lot longer than you. Maybe they have a more extensive background than you. So find a way to connect with them. Also, have you developed that mentor/mentee relationship? Do you mentor other people? Do you get mentored as a coach? Just because you're a coach doesn't mean that you still can't be mentored. Strategy 9. This block is self-examination. Strategy for this block is establish a method for reflection. So do you make time for reflective practice? And how effective is your method of teaching/coaching? So how do you know if you're effective in your method if you don't take time to reflect on it? So always go back, even whether it's just after a game or after practice or after drills. It's always good to go back and reflect on those sort of things. And you can do that through videos, written documents, going over stats after a game, or even psychomotor assessments that you may take through drills. Strategy 10, this pyramid block is subject knowledge. So the strategy for this block is to learn from experts in your field to get better. Do you know where to go or who to contact to increase your knowledge in your sport? Learn from successful coaches. All right, so there's always coaches around you who may be more successful than you are. And it's always good to be able to reach out to them and pick their brain and to ask them questions on maybe some things that you don't fully understand, or just try to learn how they prioritize their practices or their drills in order to make their team better. And do you know where to go in order to broaden your knowledge in your sport? You can go to clinics during the off season, on the weekends. Even sit down with, if you're a high school coaches, sometimes college coaches will take time and sit down with you and go over some information that you may not have. Strategy 11 for this block is pedagogical knowledge. The strategy for this is observe or apprentice under master teachers. So observe someone who is considered an expert in your field. Find those coaches who have a successful reputation. So as I talked about earlier, it's good to go and find the coaches in your area or maybe surrounding areas that have a successful reputation on and off the field, and pick their brain, observe them maybe during their off season or during their camps that they may run, because there's always people who are better coaches than you, and it's always good to observe from those sort of teachers. Strategy 12, this pyramid block is condition. Strategy for this block is practice repetition. So develop routines to maintain balance and consistency as a coach. Develop routines that help you grow as a coach. So, as stated earlier, if you can develop a routine during the off season or even during the the middle of your season on the weekend, go to clinics, coaching clinics that colleges may put on in order to broaden your knowledge. Also develop routines to maintain and balance consistency as a coach, whether that be in your drills or your form of practice. If you can continue to find some sort of routine to go through during your practices or drills, then you as a coach will know if your form or method of coaching is successful. Strategy 13, pyramid block is commitment. The strategy for this block is revisit your values as a coach. So do you know why you're still coaching? Are you still coaching for the right reasons? So when you first began your coaching career, what was the reason you started coaching? Even 15 years down the road, is the reason you're coaching still the same reason? Or are you trying to make a difference in young athletes' lives so that they can be successful? Or are you just coaching just to get a supplement, that check at the end of the month? Strategy 14, this block is courage. So the strategy for this block is refine or implement your coaching philosophy. So do you have a purpose as a coach? Why do you do the things that you do? So what is your reasoning for the drills that you do, or maybe the off-season training that you do? What's the purpose of it? Do you have a purpose as a coach? Are you just doing it, like I said earlier, just to receive that check at the end of the month? Or you want to make an impact on student athletes' lives to better serve them in their future? Because as coaches, a lot of our job is based on developing young men and women to become good men and women down the road in their future. Strategy 15, the pyramid block for this is teacher. All right, the strategy for this block is develop a method of assessment. How do you know you're still a master teacher? Are your results as a coach where they should be? So in order to find out whether you're still a master teacher or on the way to be a master teacher, you have to be able to assess yourself. So the methods of assessment that you use, are they showing the results that you want throughout your season or throughout your whatever the sport is that you coach? Are your results where they should be? If not, you may need to reevaluate your form of assessment or your forms of coaching. So it's always good to have a method of assessment in order to discover whether you're still a master teacher. So in conclusion, this webinar was very interesting for me and very beneficial as a coach. I learned a lot throughout this entire webinar. So what I learned is, are you sure, as you as a coach, are you doing the things it takes for you and your athletes to be successful? Are you continuing to master your craft no matter how many years you've been coaching? At times in our profession as coaches, we get so content with our method and our form of coaching that we forget to continue to try to master our craft. But are we still coaching for the right reasons? Are we doing what it takes to make our athletes successful year after year? Or are we doing just enough just to get by or just to get that check at the end of the month? Continuing to master your craft, no matter how many years you've been coaching, continuing to become a master teacher. Evaluate yourself as a master teacher year after year, because our main focus is, as coaches, high school coaches especially, is to develop young men and women to do the things it takes in order to be successful in life outside of school. So this was a very beneficial webinar for me.